All right, welcome back to our second segment. If you're just joining us, my name is Napoleon Bell. I'm the Executive Director with the City of Columbus Community Relations Commission. And welcome back to our second segment. And like I spoke about, that we're going to be talking with police officers, but also our diverse communities within the City of Columbus, because we continue to grow within the city. And there's sometimes that language barriers that we've got to deal with in the City of Columbus, and not only just from person to person, but also with our police officers, our firefighters. How do we communicate? And so with us today, we've got two people that are professionals in that arena, with language, barriers and access, and making sure that we're all able to communicate no matter where you're from. And so next to me, I have CEO and President of Advanced Language Access. Is that correct?
Green Tea.
I'm sorry, of Green Tea, Matt Weiner.
Yeah.
I'd like to welcome you to the program.
Thank you.
And then next to him, we have Brandy Mercado. She's the CEO and President of Advanced Language Access.
That is
I get that right?
Yes.
All right. Welcome you to the program.
Thank you.
And then we have next to her, we have Officer Mark Browning. We'd like to welcome you to the show. Now, he's new to the show, brand new, and he's although works the west side of Columbus, which has a large, diverse population out there. We're going to talk some more about that, and also the good things that are going on out there with a lot of our block watches and associations in the area out there. So we'll get to you in just a moment. We'll also make sure that we give our viewing audience a chance to give us a call. Please give us a call at 645-6557. That's 645-6557. If you have a question or a comment in regards to the program, and then also you can check us out on Facebook at Nap Bell, N-A-P-B-E-L-L. That's Nap Bell. So give me a holler on there, and we'll get your questions or answered there also. So first, let me turn to Matt. Green Tea. Tell us about what's going on there. What you guys have. For those who've never heard of Green Tea.
Sure. Green Tea Deaf Services was established in 2009. We're a nonprofit agency. We serve most of the major hospitals in Columbus. H&R Block, Central Ohio, the Ohio Department of Education, and also the Ohio University with a primary captioning and ASL agency, as well as ITT Technical College, to just name a few.
Wow. I mean, so do you see that, is this an area that's been growing? I mean, with the deaf service, I know that we often have that in many of our events through the city, so that we can make sure that everybody has that opportunity to have that communication.
Good point. Columbus, Ohio right now is the third largest deaf population in the country.
Wow.
And it's growing by leaps and bounds. So that being the case, when I decided to take over the agency, I thought it was just a great opportunity, and just provide another option in addition to the great services that we have in Columbus right now.
That's amazing. I never knew that. Wow. That's incredible. So I understood that we even more reason why to make sure that on all of our events and things that we do, that we have that accessibility.
Right.
Exactly. Wow, that's amazing. So where do you see, how long has the company been? You said you just
We were established in 2009 as a nonprofit, and I took over in June of 2010.
Okay. And it's just grown incredibly since then, I'm sure.
It's blossoming.
Blossoming.
Beyond my expectations. I'm very pleased.
That is great to hear. Well, and if somebody wanted to get a hold of you, to enlist your services, how would they go about doing that?
Sure. They can call 888-901-4426. They can also reach me at matt@gtdeafservices.org. And we're also on Facebook as well, Green Tea Deaf Services page, and we're also on Twitter as well. So
we'll have to make sure I like you on the Facebook here.
I'll be looking for that.
Okay, I better put that in now, because Lord knows, by the time I get off here, I'll forget. Right. But if I don't, remind me, and you can friend us at
That's
Nap Bell.
right.
There you go.
I sure will.
All right, good deal. Well, next to him, we have Miss Brandy Mercado, and doing the work that you do. I know you've been around a little longer. You've done a lot of work in Central Ohio. I've seen you around, although maybe some haven't. So tell us about what you guys are doing, and how you're making that interface between the community and your office.
Thank you, Napoleon. Well, as you have noticed, since we have worked together at times within assisting the community We offer language services, and it's an array of that, so that's why we like to call ourselves a linguistic consulting firm. We work within the area of social services, but also in work with businesses, marketing companies, to make sure they properly outreach our new, flourishing, new American community. And within that, because there are language barriers, we want to make sure that there is a trust factor and make sure that we all are providing the right sentiment behind the words that are coming out. So we dispatch interpreters, translators, sometimes tutors and trainers to not only work with the Columbus Police Department, but also within the medical sector and the judicial sector.
Wow, I mean, and you talked about, it sounded like, to make sure it's properly translated, because I've heard in the past that, when you have the younger child translating or something to that effect, that things are lost in translation, or so is a translation, does that take certifications, or is it something that along those lines, or we want to make sure the proper people do it?
Well, I'm going to correct you first.
Okay.
And I'm going to say interpreting
Okay.
is oral.
Okay.
Translation is all text.
Gotcha.
And so what we do try to provide is to keep the proper accuracy and preciseness, but then we want to uphold that standard of what we're saying by abiding by the Code of Ethics. And the Code of Ethics that we use is not only for the National Association of Judiciary Interpreters, but also with the National Council on Interpreting in Healthcare. So we go by those two ethical standards to make sure that we provide professionally qualified interpreters to work with you guys and not have that liability, like you mentioned, with children being put in such adult-like situations, and or maybe people that are not actually properly certified, or I would say trained in an area where it might seem hostile, or it might be very, I would say, an injustice as opposed to serving justice to those that are limited in their English proficiency.
Right, and I would imagine that we would have to tend to trust someone who's, not biased.
Right.
Especially I think when it comes to a law enforcement thing, or you talk about judicial, that you want somebody who's truly just doing the correct interpretation of what's being said, rather than mincing in their own words to that.
Exactly. So we'd like to see ourselves as conduits or cultural brokers, to be able to actually put ourselves in a third person and say, please pause for the interpreter, but there has been a cultural, I would say, offense being put. Normally in this country, you're not supposed to touch the person in this way, or you're not supposed to mention it in this way, because there is an offense that occurs. And just to kind of educate throughout the time that we're interpreting, not being the advocate, not being the mediator, but just being that cultural broker.
So it'd be that to gain understanding.
Exactly.
Because
exactly.
that could take a case one way or another, just because you offended somebody and didn't even know it. In a sense.
And with the police officers mainly, there's that trust factor that you want to try to create there to assure that they're there to protect and serve the community. And unfortunately, when the language barrier is not properly met and there is the trust is broken, it makes it that much more difficult to let them know that they're there to assist,
Exactly.
and to protect, of course.
Exactly. Well, we're going to come back to you too, because that's some great stuff to know, and I got a little education myself on this, but that's great information to know. So let me first of all turn to the officer now. Ronnie, West Side, it's a very diverse community out there, but also a lot of great things are going on out there. You work the streets out there. You know what's going on. Tell us a little bit about what you're seeing that's going on the West Side, both good and a little bad, but we like to really highlight those positive things that are going on out there.
Well, I'm in the liaison office out of the Strategic Response Bureau, and through that, like in the Westgate area, out of one of their block watches, some information was given to me that I relayed to our enforcement detectives, who were over a long-term investigation, were able to obtain the evidence for a search warrant, and they executed a search warrant just right there next to Westgate Park, within stone's throw of Westgate Park there, and recovered $18,000 in cash and some heroin and marijuana. And farther west, Green Country Park, their civic association, they're getting together with the city, and they're getting some playground equipment installed out there, so that's some good things. And some of the bad things is there's a shelter house out there in that same park that there's vandalism, and some kids are hanging out, all hours of the night doing things they shouldn't be doing, and we're trying to address some of that right now.
what do you see as though that with because you talked about the block watches and civil association are informing you of these particular issues, and with that information, they was able to make that huge bust. Do you see the people out there? Are they feeling more empowered now? When they see these things happen, or because so often some community folk will get to a point of well, it's been that way 20 years, we'll never be able to make a change, that type of thing. Or do you see a resurgence of that community pride and empowerment out there on the west side?
Well, just out of that particular one in the Westgate area, a lot of people did that right after they seen that particular search warrant being executed there. They came up with some more addresses and stuff that other stuff's going on, not right in that area, but throughout the west side there. Mm-hmm. A lot more addresses were coming my way with narcotics offenses and stuff like that. And that particular address, they had been working a long time, and the lady that gave us the information originally thought nothing was being done with it. Well, a lot of times narcotics investigations sometimes can be long-term, and she was, very happy to see that, come to a good conclusion for her there.
Right, so it takes some vigilance,
yeah,
to continue with this. I mean, we were talking about nuisance abatements on the first segment. So this segment, when you're talking about the narcotic issues, and if you could, because I think that's a big part of what the community in some areas deal with, and they get disgruntled because they don't see, like you talked about, don't see something happening quite quickly enough.
Yeah.
Talk to us about that process of somebody calling in, to get this narcotic house taken care of. What does the narcotics, what do they need to be able to make that bust and make that entry into the home?
Well, I don't want to get into the particulars of how they investigate their certain things, but it does take time. They got their tools that they'll use that I really don't want to tell everybody.
Because we'll be helping the bad guy out.
Exactly. So, I mean, it does, people might see some activity going on at the house. It may be an undercover officer working that house. So they might think it's more criminal activity, but really it's an officer who's trying to work that. So you just never know when they're going to be out there, but it takes a citizen calling that complaint in for us to be aware of it, to go work it. And the more people that know of a particular address or names or license plate numbers and things like that, if they call that in, that's more tools for us to use to get these search warrant. And then if it is a big problem, we can try to do the nuisance abatement.
Right, because in talking about that, it seems like this is the groundwork that needs to be done to continue to deal with the issue, to resolve it for a long term, to do the nuisance abatement. But the work that the community is doing out there is what's, getting it all started, working out there. Now, and talking about the west side, and we talk about the diversity of the west side, do you see, when we talk about the language barriers and what have you, first of all, let me ask you this, because I know officers being out there on the street, we'll run into that issue. Mm-hmm. We'll come upon somebody and they can't communicate. Is there still the I believe a language line that's called to assist with that?
Yeah, we can call through our radio room. We can get someone out there to interpret if we have to. A lot of times we use family member or somebody that is pretty fluent in English, or can at least help us with what the particulars are of the run we need to, in an emergency type situation. I know, like I've got some Somali block watches that I'll have a Somali person that lives within the block watch there help with interpretation and stuff, things like that. Yeah, if they call the police, they need to state what language they do speak, so our dispatchers can get them to the right interpreter. Okay. And get that started. So
they even have, if we want to make sure that we allow people or let them know that they can call in, even though if you speak a different language, you can still call in, and your complaint or your emergency will still be answered, but it'll be connected with someone who can speak that same language.
Yes.
Okay, because that's very good to know, because I think some people are very hesitant, and I'm sure you guys could attest to the fact they're very hesitant to do that. Now, well, that brings up with someone who can't hear, is there a way to, is that through TDY, or how does that happen with a 911?
Yeah, a lot of it can be done through TTY that way, and a lot of times, as the officer pointed out, many times the Columbus will augment with agencies and have dispatchers, or I'm on call literally 24/7 for emergency runs,
Okay.
appointments, last-minute notices, that type of thing. So we do what we can to provide that. And I know, for example, various hospital systems will use what we call the MARTI system, where they have a video of somebody that actually can communicate via sign language. However, some of the deaf community prefer to have a live interpreter, so they're willing to wait to have someone, an agency like myself, that can dispatch an interpreter to the hospital to make that happen in reality.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. You know, this just brings up a crazy idea that I'm just thinking of, and maybe it's way out to be. But what about using like iPads and Skyping in somebody to do that work? So you could, instead of having to leave your house, you could be Skyped in and to do that work. I mean, I'm just, you know, technology, has that ever come across, or ever somebody ever thrown that out there as a possibility with either of your agencies? Or
Yeah, we all have brainstormed
Okay.
on how
Right.
best to use technology, whether it be with texting and kind of disseminating information through a mass text, or by using the GPS service to make sure that we know exactly where the location is so that we can best find the person. But what we have noticed as well, with having a maybe two-dimensional kind of object, is when there is beyond a triadic situation and now there's a chaotic situation going on and more than one person is speaking. I know it's extremely difficult for the ASL interpreter, but also for the foreign language interpreter to kind of catch on exactly who they should be interpreting. And so that's the only time or the discrepancy that we end up finding.
Right.
How can we resolve that issue? But best believe we're also looking at ways that we can take advantage of this technology and how far it's gotten. The other thing that we have chosen to do is preventive work, where, like you mentioned, empowering the community. That is creating train-the-trainer programs with these local community leaders like the block watches, and also those community leaders that are very involved, that are respected in there, training them on emergency English and ways that they can help protect, assist, and just be that support system when there is some type of crisis that might occur.
Okay. Wow. I mean, that's very interesting to know, and I guess ultimately, you know, we want to make sure that with our safety services that we get, you know, persons on the department, and I know we've talked about this with Chief Blackwell and Sawyer and others that speak several languages, you know, or that, you know, so that they are on the department, and just get persons who are Somali and people who are Spanish, so that, you know, that we're reflective of the community that we serve. And I know that they also, and I'm not sure, I have to ask you, officers, are they still teaching? I know they did the kind of basic sign language classes and the basic Spanish classes, and so that you could at least, you know, get over the first couple things.
We've had some of that, but we haven't had that recently, though. But it was a couple years ago. We did go through some of that training.
Okay.
But I could see more of it coming, yeah.
Yeah, definitely, because, you know, it sounds like, you know, it's always out there, you know, and growing. And you said the second largest?
Third largest.
Third largest.
Third largest.
Third largest.
And growing.
Okay, okay. Well, and I've got to ask, because I've always, you know, besides Spanish, and I would love, can you take classes? And I mean, does your company offer that or anything?
Absolutely. We have three aspects. It's ASL that we provide as a service to the community. We also provide captioning services as well. As I mentioned, with the universities that we deal with, primarily Ohio University in Athens, who we deal with, we're their ASL/captioning agency. And then thirdly, we do offer mentoring. So you could be off the street and you want to learn something new, we offer that opportunity via Skype or via classes. I have one of my mentors on my staff that does that.
Is that your mentor is here?
Yes.
What's her name?
Her name's Corey Tedrow.
Corey Tedrow. We're going to try to get her on the show to show us some of the sign, but we only have so much space, and that also took up so much space over there. But go on.
Yeah, so basically, even though we're a nonprofit agency, we offer the opportunity, and it really can be a nice career path. The option that Green Tea Deaf Services brings to the table is the fact that we offer services in a freelance opportunity. So you're not working 9 to 5. you're working a job that works around your schedule, your life, which is really nice. And so basically I just have my interpreters who are most active in my agency who are available, that's the big thing, provide for me on a weekly basis their availability. So when I get the emergency runs or I get the appointments or something like that, I can quickly look on my iPad and I can quickly find who can help out. So that really comes in handy. And I have a great interpreting staff. They love what they do, and like I said, being a nonprofit agency, it's a magnet to all sorts of people to really help the community out in every way we can.
Exactly right. And we'll appreciate the work, but also, Brandy, can you help me out with some Spanish? I mean, or whatever, Spanish or Somali, or do you guys do that training also, or is it more just interpretation?
Training is also in there. That's why we have tutors that would be able to assist you. We have classes that if you go online to our website, it's www.advancedlanguageaccess.com.
Okay.
And we have one-on-one classes where it's the full submersion. You would go out to events that people that are speaking Spanish, you would have to interact with them. We'll take you to local restaurants, teach you how to order from the menu. And then we also have the business Spanish. So if you're just going overseas and you just need to learn the terminology or the jargon just to get you by or to get that negotiation sealed, we try to make sure we help you out with that as well.
So if my office said, I want all my staff to have some basic Spanish because of working out in the community, we need to have that to at least be able to understand basic Spanish. You would be able to come out to the office and do that type of training.
Exactly. We assign a professor out to you, and we'll just kind of go over what your daily routine is and what is the jargon and the terminology or vocabulary that you would normally use or use most, and that's where we start off from.
How long is it going to take me? I want to be able to, I want to go out tomorrow, I want to have a conversation. Realistically, how long will it take someone to learn proficiently, in a sense, basic Spanish?
You said proficient and then basic Spanish and then conversational.
Well, just something that'll get me by through, show me the bathroom or something. I don't know, but.
Well, definitely. That's where we try to target especially, because there's some people that say we want to learn Spanish. And Spanish in total, just the language acquisition of Spanish itself will take from 2 to 4 years depending on how much full time you're really going to put into it. But if you're saying you want us to come out to your place of work and just help you guys better understand or communicate with your target audience and who you mainly work with within the community, then we're going to give you those basic terms, sentences, and phrases that you're going to mainly use that is going to be so much easier for you to take in and memorize because you already are using them in English. So it's where it's going to fit in your mental lexicon. We would give you between 8 to 16 weeks.
8 to 16 weeks.
Yes.
Whew, I don't know. Is that every day?
That would be as much as you're able to take, but we usually give you an MP3 that you can, like a podcast that you can take on with you and you can play in your car or wherever you'd like to use it most at. Okay.
Well, that's great that you have that flexibility because I'm just imagining, especially when people have busy days and what have you, and at work that it would be difficult to sit down for 8 hours a day and do that.
Exactly.
And do that definitely. So, but that's once again that's much needed work that you're doing in the community and also and you talk about that collaboration with police, with the community and the different agencies, because this is something that we must do.
That's right.
Because we continue to grow. And so agencies like yours that are doing this type of work is needed. We always need police, out there, but we need police also to have that ability to communicate, because they come upon issues that are like right now, and I need to know now. And so we're hopeful that, that we have officers that are out there that can speak Spanish or speak Somali, whatever it might be, or sign language, right out there right now, because instances that you guys come upon are exigent and need to be taken care of right there on the farm. Yes, sir.
Question. Just do you guys also teach, maybe I got some Somali block watch if they're interested to tutor them in English and stuff? Is that something you guys do too?
That's exactly what we do. Part of that emergency English, where at the Columbus International Festival we will be doing a workshop there. We would love to see you there. We would love to have you guys come and participate and support in this program, where we're basically doing that emergency English classes that would, I guess, benefit everyone.
That is a great question. That's a great point, because we think about that those issues in regards to someone has something, so they need to be able to speak English. I mean, just those basics. In addition to us being able to speak Spanish or whatever it might be, but also that emergency English, so that they can give the ability to catch the bad guy.
Yeah.
Exactly. So last thing, we're running out of time. Numbers to call if I want to get a hold of you. I need your services.
888-901-4426.
Thank you.
614-675-4007.
And Officer, oh wait, yeah, you got a number too.
If you're on the 10th precinct or anything west side, 645-1410. It's Officer Mark Browning.
And then also the general number is 645-4610.
Yeah.
For the Strategic Response Pro. We'd like to thank all of you for being on the program. We'd like to thank our viewing audience for allowing us into your home. For as we sign off here, we'd like to say thank you for allowing us back in your home, but also make sure you friend me at Nat Bell, N-A-P-B-E-L-L, to be a part of our program, our next program, and 645-6557. Have a great week and take care.